Hey everybody, Corey here with Vice and Villainy. Going to be doing a video today about setting up Foundry in the cloud so that you can play your game and host it on Amazon, and you don't have to worry about people logging into your network and using all of your resources on your machine. There is that option, and it is in the hosting guide on Foundry. You're welcome to go through all that. It's a wonderful thing. That's the self-hosted. I prefer the dedicated configuration, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. You can do it for free on Amazon using a pretty small instance, but it's free. So, unfortunately, these instructions, and I get why they did it, are not very thorough, and I had to do a little bit of digging, some Googling to figure this out. So I'm going to hopefully save everyone here a little bit of time and a little bit of headache. Full disclosure, you're going to need to set up an account on Amazon AWS. You're going to need to download some software called Putty, and you're going to have to do a couple of things here and there every time you want to start your game or shut down your game. It's a little more work. It's not a whole lot, but I think the end result is better. So, and that being, people don't have to log into your computer through your network. Through Amazon. So here's what's going to happen. We're going to go over to Amazon, and we're going to create an account here. Let's do password here. Account name, we'll call it Foundry. Root. All right. It's a personal account. Don't worry about your phone number or address or city or anything. Probably going to make you do it, though. Let's see. Nope, it doesn't. You can just do it this way. Yes, it does. So put in your phone number. I'm not in New York, but it doesn't matter. Oh, great. It's checking addresses. Okay. So let's just do... Let's use Louisville, Kentucky. I have some family, so I can use... There we go. It is going to... Even though there is a free tier... and I'll bring this up here real quick for you to see. So the free tier, EC2, you get 750 hours per month, which is a lot. So you're really never going to go over this. And it's for 12 months. So yeah, you can go ahead and put in a card number here and you're never going to use it. So I'm going to pull this off screen so you can't see it. And let me type this in. It's going to ask you to text it to a cell phone number or a voice call. So you will need a legit number on this screen, not in the first one. It's going to have you do a captcha. So let's send it. Coming into my phone in any second. waiting on it. All right. It says sometimes it can take up to 10 minutes. That's hokum. So we're back here. You want the free plan. Now you can sign in. So you're going to sign in. And here you go. You are in your AWS Management Console. So what you're going to do is launch a virtual machine with EC2. So let's click here. Okay. I have never had that happen before. So let's go to nope, that's not what we want. Never seen this happen before. Anyhow, type in EC2 and go in that way. I'm going to cut that section out. All right, so here you are at the new EC2 console, and this is where we're going to start everything. So we're going to go over here to instances. And we're going to come down here and we're going to launch instance. And we are going to use this Amazon Linux 2. If you have another reason and want to use Red Hat or something else, that's fine. But Linux is what we're going to want to be using here. So we're going to choose the T2 Micro as it is free tier eligible. That said, in my personal one, I am using a bigger one. I'm using a T3A large that has 8 gigabytes of memory because I have a lot of players and I like to use a lot of animated maps, and I need that in order to push it. If you're not using animated maps, or you don't have, you're only using one, this will be absolutely sufficient. So we're going to review and launch. We're going to be using the T2 Micro. Go ahead and launch that. And we're going to need to create a key pair. And this is where Putty is going to be coming in a minute. So we're going to create a new key pair, and we can call this Foundry, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to call it Foundry Forge Test, since that's what I'm doing. And you're going to download this. I'm just going to save it to my desktop. And it's going to save it as a PEM file, and that's fine. So now you can launch instance. And now view instance. And there it goes. It's working. It's going to give you your public IP address and the public DNS. I will be deleting this after I complete it, so if anyone tries to log into it, it's not going to work. And then they replenish these back into the pool. Now, something while I'm here waiting, something that is interesting here, and I would suggest doing, is an elastic IP. And what that is effectively, it's a static IP for this, meaning if you don't do an elastic IP, anytime you start and stop this, which is you can do by right-clicking and going to instance state, it's going to put up a new IP address for you. So that means every time you shut this down and start it up, you're going to get a new IP, and you're going to have to redistribute that to your players. I think the elastic IP, which you can get over here, is going to be a much better thing. So you can click on it. You can allocate an elastic IP address. Go ahead and pull it. This is your new IP address. And now what you're going to want to do is associate it. So you go to associate. You want to associate it with the image that's running. And now it is associated. And if you go back to your dashboard and your instances, you'll see you have this elastic IP address here, and that is yours permanently. So even if you shut this down and start it back up, it's going to come back up. Highly suggest doing that. So it's running. We have our status checks running. They run in the background. You can move on from here. So you're going to want to download PuTTY, and I'll drop the link into it here in the description so you can have it there. And we'll go ahead and download PuTTY. First, though, after you install it, you're going to want to open the PuTTyGen key generator. We're going to... Oh, you can't see that. Let me switch to where you can see that. Okay. So now we have the PuTTY... Oops. Awesome. Good job, Corey. We have our PuTTY keygen here. I'm just all over the place. Sorry, everybody. We'll get that out of there and cut back into here. PuTTY keygen. We are going to load a previous key file, and it's going to be all files, and we're going to open up the Foundry PEM file. It successfully imported it. There's your key. I would not attach a passphrase to it. You're not going to want to do that, and you're now going to want to keep it at RSA and save it as a private key. We'll ask you yes, you say yes. You then will save it to your desktop or wherever you want to keep it as Foundry Forge Test or whatever you want to call it. And you're going to save it as a PPK file. PPK. Go ahead and save that. You'll see over here we have our PPK file. You can then close out of the PuTTyGen and open regular PuTTY. It's going to give you this little configuration window. What you're going to want to do is go down here to SSH and expand it. Click on Auth, and you're going to drop your key file in here. So it's on the desktop, Foundry Forge Test. We're then going to go back to your session and type in the IP address that you have down here, which is 18.188.181.154. Leave it at port 22. It should already be configured to have port 22 open for SSH, which is what this is. Call it something, Foundry Test or World or whatever you want to do, and that's just so that you don't have to do this every time. You're going to save it, and now you can open it. It says the host key is not cached. Go ahead and say yes. It's going to give you this window that says login as. The default password for every single instance here is EC2-user. It will authenticate your key, and it will give you a console check here. The next thing you're going to want to do is go back to your browser, and we're going to make a quick update to security groups. We do have to open a security, we do have to open a port for Foundry, and that's port 30,000. So we're going to come in here, action, inbound rules. Oh, that's the wrong one. See what's in here. Here we go. Edit the inbound rules. We're going to add a rule. Custom TCP port 30,000, and we're going to mimic the IP rule here, and you can call this whatever you want. Foundry port open. Save the rules. Now it's ready to go. Coming back to here. Okay, here's where we're going to do some stuff following some of these things. So I've got my console open, and I'm running Amazon Linux. So what I'm going to do is copy this first command. Control-C it, and when you come back into PuTTY, if you just right-click it, it will drop it in there. So that. Let's install the next one, and we will have to install one more thing before we launch. We have to install node.js. We're going to install all this first. I'm sorry, we are installing Node.js right now. My bad. This is how you do it. It's going to run through and go through all this stuff. And as long as you don't get any errors, it'll say complete after those three things, and you're good to go. Next step is coming down here. You are at the home right here. You can see it with the $sign. That means you're at the home directory. So you can just make directory, mkdir, foundry vtt, make directory, foundry data, and then using ls to look at the list, that shows you the two folders you've just created. You're then going to change directory into foundry vtt, and you can see it has changed here. And you're going to, this is the part where you're going to use what in the email they gave you. It's going to change, or it may be a different thing than I have because I've been a patron of this for a while. But the command you're going to run here, wget -0 or -big O, I think that's a big O, foundry vtt.zip, and then in quotes, the Foundry website download URL. So in the email you get, there should be a URL to download the Linux, the Windows, and the Mac version. You're going to want the Linux version. Put that URL, you can put it in a notepad. Like you could copy this, put it in Notepad, then replace this with the URL from there. And what that'll do is then download the zip file from their server into this zip file here. And then you can paste that back into PuTTY here, and it will create that zip file, and then you can run the unzip in this folder, and it will unpack all of the files and stuff that's in there and let you get ready to run it. And then once that's finished, all you have to do is copy this, and you do have to run it from within this folder, and copy that in there, paste it, and that will do a startup. So what I'm going to do now is, because I don't want to download it again because I've already have downloaded and I'm running my license on another one, I don't want to go through that process and use the license twice. I'm going to take a quick pause here. I'm going to reload mine, and you'll see what it looks like when it goes through. So what we have here, and I've hidden the IP address of it, is after I've executed that node command, it runs through here and it drops these three things down here, and you'll see they're all green. License verification succeeded. Now you won't see success on that yet. It'll say license required, and when you first launch, when you first go into it, it'll ask you to put in your the keygen for, or your license for Foundry, and then you may have to restart it. I don't remember if you do or not. And it will then come back green after you do that, or the next time you start it, you'll see it as green. All you'll do from here is you go into Chrome or whatever web browser you want to use. I would suggest using Chrome, and that is because there are other add-ins that have been developed, some modules that only work in Chrome. I prefer Firefox, but for Foundry, I use Chrome. So you can then go into Chrome, type in the IP address or the Elastic IP address that you have with the colon and then 30,000. Hit enter, and it will launch. It will launch Foundry for you. So let's do a quick pause there, and I will bring it up so you can see it. And then here you are. When you log in, this is what it looks like for me now. And you can see I've created a couple of worlds here. It tells you what version it is and if there's compatibility issues with modules and stuff like that. But that's really where everything is. And see where you do your software updates, various pieces of configuration. You'll want to make sure that whatever user data path, if you use the same one I did, which is Foundry Data, that it looks just like that. If it's not auto-populated, you'll want that there. And then, yeah, you're ready to start messing with it, creating worlds and doing things like that. Run a Numenera, a D&D, and a Cthulhu game, so I've got all those game systems installed. There's a ton of modules you can add and lots of cool stuff in here. You should have the latest version, which right now is 0.6.4. So that should be fine there. And if it didn't prompt you to put the key in, it should be in this area here that you do it. So that is how you install Foundry and get it running on Amazon Web Services. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments. Click subscribe and that notification button, so when you do have when I do put out a video, which might not be as often as I hope, you'll know about it and you can get things going. So thanks for coming in and hanging with me on this. Again, if you have any questions, let me know. And also, please check out my podcast, Vice and Villainy, on all the majors. And you can also go to viceandvillainy.com and check it out there as well. So thanks, everybody. Take care.